All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about the 147-pound division. This time, Errol Spence Jr. gets a critique from a former opponent. Also, on a very popular podcast, it is revealed that somebody from the PBC brought up the same concern, and ain't nothing new about it. It's whether or not Errol Spence Jr. is damaged goods going into the fight with Terence Crawford. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back. We are back in the 147-pound division where we've got some more of these conversations going on around the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, which will take place on July 29th. It is one of the biggest fights we've had this century. Should be a terrific fight. So as a result of that, two very good fighters. A lot of people saying things on one side, other people saying things on another side. And we're going to go through it all as we get closer and closer to the fight, because you don't want to miss it. A lot of that stuff is really what makes boxing that much more interesting. The barbershop type of conversations, the speculations, and of course, all of those questions should be answered on the 29th. However, Chris Algieri and Gilly the Kid of $1 Million Worth of Game podcast both kicked up conversations about Errol Spence Jr. and one of the potential issues for Errol going into the fight with Terence Crawford. This is nothing new. We should, at this point in time, all have known it, and it has come up pretty much with every fight that Errol Spence Jr. has had. Both fights, this is the third fight that Errol Spence Jr. has had since he had his car accident 3 years ago. I do believe it was 3 years ago. I think it was in 2020 that he had the car accident, because 2021 he fought Danny Garcia. 2022 he fought Yordenis Ugas, and now in 2023 he's fighting Terence Crawford. So I'm pretty sure it was in 2020. But before I get into the details, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so very much for your continued support. Really does make a tremendous difference for the channel. But before we get into that, I just want to tell you real fast about today's sponsor, the Boxing Showtime app. It's a very useful app that keeps you updated on all things boxing, and you can keep up with the latest fights, where to watch them, the latest news, and a lot more. For any hardcore boxing fan like myself, and most likely all of y'all, I would definitely recommend downloading it. And it also is most definitely a big support to the channel. It's available for both Apple and Android, and you can find the link in the description below. Thanks for considering downloading Boxing Showtime's app. But let's get back into the subject matter of the video. Chris Algieri is a former opponent of Errol Spence Jr., lost to Errol before Errol won a belt. He's a former 140-pound champion who I do believe beat Ruslan Provodnikov, who was a title holder, and that was really his breakout fight. He had a fight with Manny Pacquiao where Manny Pacquiao knocked him down like 300 times, some ridiculous amount. But now he's a commentator. He fought Errol Spence Jr. at 147 pounds, and he got stopped by Errol. However, bright guy, very articulate guy as far as former boxers go. And now he's a podcaster, commentator, gives his input on boxing. And so he was talking about the Errol Spence Terence Crawford fight and said that he could see a bunch of different scenarios as to who could win the fight. And mentioned that he could see Errol beating up Terence Crawford, but he could also see Terence Crawford beating up or being able to stop Errol Spence. He then continued to say, and this is the bit of the quote that I thought was the most interesting. He was saying that yes, without a doubt, Errol Spence Jr. has a better resume than Terence Crawford, has the better record, fought the better fighters at the better times, right, at the optimal peak in their careers. However, Terence Crawford does not have 2 car accidents and a torn retina, and that very well may come into play in the fight that he has with Errol Spence. Also, Gilly the Kid, who has who is on $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, brought up to Errol Spence Jr. that someone from the PBC also said, hey man, I pick Errol, but it really depends on what Errol shows up, since Errol had that car accident. So consistently, since that car accident has taken place, people keep bringing that up as a reason why Errol Spence Jr. may not perform in the fight. Now, my take on it is that is not an unreasonable thing to say, because, hey, he got in a big car accident. That's trauma to your body. That's wear and tear on your body. Without a doubt, that can cause some damage to you. And you may very well have lingering effects from that. Now, personally, I spoke with Errol Spence Jr.'s camp, people in Errol Spence Jr.'s camp, literally the day that the car accident happened, and they had no concerns about Errol coming back, because they had spoken with the doctors and they were like, hey man, you're a bit of a freak of nature, and this is a real fortunate situation because you didn't break any bones, you didn't tear any tendons. I think he got some teeth knocked out of his mouth, and he had a lot of bruising, right? So as far as the actual fight that took place, they weren't worried about at all whether or not he was going to be coming back or not. They weren't worried about his life or anything like that. And I'm telling you, when I communicated with them, I communicated with them literally the morning that I heard it. Text them. Boom, got a text back. They're like, we're not worried about it. He's going to be good. No broken bones, none of that. So he's just going to have to rehab. He's just going to have to, not rehab, he's just going to have to recover. And so it was obviously a long recovery for him, but he got back in the ring with Danny Garcia. Now, the other injury was a torn retina. That was definitely something to overcome. And other fighters have had torn retinas before, but the torn retina itself is not going to affect what he's doing in the ring. It's because it's not, it's part of your eye. And if it gets re-injured, it could have serious ramifications for him later through his career. But there are other fighters that have had torn retinas that have got in the ring and haven't had any problem in the ring. Sugar Ray Leonard is probably the most the most well-known example of that. And then, of course, Errol Spence Jr., who had another car accident with a teenage driver that would hit him head on. But Errol Spence Jr. at that point in time, because he had been in car accidents, bought an armored vehicle. So when they crashed into the armored vehicle, it wound up not hurting him very badly. I think it is one of the reasons a fight that he could have been having with Keith Thurman had got pushed back. But we'll see. Now, for me, what all of those things mean to me is we just have to hope Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford get to the fight and that there's no injuries or anything else that winds up taking place, because, hey, man, that's multiple accidents. So you have to wonder, hey, man, is it just, you got bad juju on you or something? However, again, it's not, I don't think that for Chris Algieri to say that, or for the person from the PBC, whoever it was, Errol Spence Jr. speculated that it was Stevie Fulton Jr., but Gilly the Kid said no, it's not Steve Fulton Jr. The reason why he would think it would be Steve Fulton Jr., I think, would be because because Steve Fulton Jr. is from Philadelphia, and so is Gilly the Kid. They're both from Philadelphia. So he obviously has relationships with and speaks with Steve Fulton Jr. I've not ever heard anything where Steve Fulton Jr. has been wishy-washy about Errol Spence Jr. outside the ring, but outside of, in the media, not outside the ring, because those guys aren't in the weight class. So everything would be outside the ring. But whatever the case is, man, look, this is going to be a good fight. I don't think that is a unreasonable concern for people to have about Errol Spence Jr. and wondering whether or not the wear and tear would be there. Errol Spence Jr. himself admits as much, saying that he could understand why some people would have him as an underdog after having been through everything that he's been through. The car accident, a lot of people thought his career was supposed to be over. He wasn't going to come back at all. Then you get a torn retina. The fight gets delayed with Manny Pacquiao. You get in another car accident. Hey, man, he's had some wear and tear on his body. So he's like, man, I can understand. I'm supposed to be the underdog at this point in time. But whether or not that is really going to play a part in the fight or not, it hasn't yet. And he came back after all of that stuff against Yordenis Ugas, two of those things against Yordenis Ugas, and I think he looked the best that he's looked in a very long time, if not the best I've ever seen him look like physically, right? And one of the things that did for him is it got him in the gym and it got him focused completely on his training. So he may still have some soreness, wear and tear, whatever on his body. However, he's living a much more clean life and is much more prepared as far as his training in the ring in between fights now. So, and man, it may be a wash or may be advantage for Errol. But anyway, whatever the take is, let me know what your take is in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.